And welcome into In Depth with Fox Carolina Sports. Hey there, I'm Aaron Cheslock. As we do each week, we talk about local athletes and coaches to figure out how they've walked their path to the point of their careers where they're at right now. And we're going to do a little different this week as the Greenville Drive are set to start their 2021 season, one that has been long awaited, doesn't quite do it justice. But we're joined by Drive General Manager Eric Jarinko and the manager of the Greenville Drive, Iggy Suarez. Guys, thanks for taking some time with us. Eric, I want to start with you. You guys were recently honored by Baseball America for single A baseball, the top one in the country. A lot that had to go into that, guys, operating as the season got canceled in 2020. You guys put together blood drives, COVID relief efforts, teacher appreciation events. As far as national awards and recognition, this has to be right up there at the top for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, it was one that we weren't expecting. We had no idea Baseball America was even presenting that award last year. To be honest, when we got the email saying, hey, congratulations, guys, you've been selected as Baseball America's Fridas Award winner for single A, we thought it was a joke. Because honestly, with no season, how do you give an award out for, top organization across your level? And when we followed up, I mean, it made a lot of sense. I think minor league baseball teams have always been, pillars of their community. That's basically what we've tried to do here for our first 14 years, 15 years now. And really, even despite no season last year, we really doubled down on those efforts of how could we still be a part of this community? How could the ballpark be used as a community rallying point? How could it be used for food drives, blood drives, things like that? And that's really how we stayed busy last year. So when you kind of put all the awards next to each other that we've been recipients of over the years, this one definitely has a special place for us, given that there was no baseball in 2020.
Iggy, I got to ask you about the 2020 season. You've been part of a lot of baseball teams and seasons, and I'm not sure anyone's ever experienced what you guys went through last year. But when you got the word, how did you react? What was your message to some of the players? And knowing full well that from your tenure playing in the minor leagues, these are opportunities that these guys simply can't afford to miss. What was your message to them, as well as your reaction yourself?
No, for sure. I mean, we managed to stay in constant contact with the players throughout this downtime. It was difficult for everybody involved. Players and coaching staff. I know for me personally, I don't remember the last time I was home for Memorial Day, for July 4th. So it was very, very weird, very different for us. So to be able to stay in constant contact with the players and keeping in touch, making sure they're still doing their work, keeping their mind focused, because that's a difficult situation to be in. The unknown of when this season is going to start again. If there is going to be a season, how long will this downtime be? And I think we helped each other in that sense, not just the fact of coaching staff helping the player. Like they were helping us too, to kind of keep our mind in that baseball mode in some sort, to try to keep it going. And then finally, when we get word that there will be a season, I mean, then it was just a matter of a countdown. We were just waiting for that day to come so we could all finally be down in Fort Myers together again on a baseball field. We kept saying that to each other all the time in our Zoom calls. It's a matter of what, we can't wait to be on a field again, and now that we're finally here, it's like, it seems like it's been forever, and it's right now. We're definitely, it's a time of reflection where you're like, what, we're not going to take this time for granted. We actually enjoy this because, we've gone through a tough time and we've gone through it together, and we're stronger for it.
Eric, hopefully we're on the other side of this thing as the 2021 season approaches. We're just days away from opening day. So let's take care of the X's and O's here. For Greenville Drive fans looking to come out to Fluor Field this year, what are some of the protocols that are in place? What are the things they need to know before they walk into the gates?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, we're really taking it month by month at this point. Only the May games are on sale right now for fans to purchase. There's obviously some health and safety protocols in place. that are done through conversations with both state and local government and health officials, as well as Major League Baseball. So some of those protocols for at least the month of May are fans have to have a mask on at all times when they enter the ballpark and when they're roaming the ballpark. The mask can come off when they're in their seats, eating and drinking, things like that. As far as seating capacity or fan capacity, we're entering the month of May at a 50% capacity. So that puts us at about 2,300 fans per game. And it's really going to be a general admission kind of seating plan. We'll have brand new signage all over the ballpark that it'll make sense when they see it. But we've kind of reserved the best sections for our fans for our season ticket holders behind home plate. So those sections, kind of 105 through 111 for each of the May games, will be exclusively for our season ticket holders. And then we have one price point the rest of the ballpark. So as fans come in, they can kind of sit wherever they want. Our ushers will help them maintain social distancing from the next group, because it's kind of impossible to plan for, every single variation of sizes of groups to have dedicated pods. So we thought this was the best way to get fans into the ballpark and kind of let them sit wherever they'd like and wherever they feel comfortable. So those are the two biggest things between the mask policy and the seating capacity. And then, our biggest challenges at that point are making sure that lines, whether it's at the gates or food and beverage lines, don't queue up. So fans will also notice social distancing markers in the concessions lines. But one of the new features we've got this year too, which is going to be great, once we don't have these types of restrictions as well, is we have an all new mobile ordering app that fans can download, order any food and beverage from their seats and have it delivered. We tested it for the first time during the Clemson versus South Carolina game, and wait times from the time someone placed the order to the time we actually got it to them was under 6 minutes as an average wait time. So I don't know why you'd wait in a line ever again, to be honest.
That's awesome. Does that apply to media covering the game as well? Can I get you to personally deliver me popcorn when
you have my cell phone number, so you can just text me and I'll bring you popcorn when you're covering the games.
For anybody else that wants it, it is all right. So Iggy, I got to ask you, we didn't know what the minor league season would look like. Finally, all that information came down. Thankfully, we're having a season and everything looks like it's close to normal, but there's been some major realignment. No more South Atlantic League. Now it's High A East. I'm curious, in the South Division where you guys are going to play, do you even know the other teams in your division yet?
Yeah, we do. We do now. I mean, there was a point where we had no idea where we were going or who would be playing. So now that the schedule is out and we know who the teams are going to be, there's some teams that we haven't played, and it's weird to see those teams in this league. Again, we're so used to, Carolina League, the South Atlantic, all that stuff, but just from years of minor league baseball. And it's going to be an adjustment. Personally, for me, I mean, I'm going to places I've never been, even as a minor league player. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully the travel will be more accommodating to the players, and it'll be a little bit of a easier travel. But again, traveling in the minor leagues is never really easy. There's always hiccups, and those are the stories that you get of minor league baseball. But definitely excited to definitely get to these new cities.
How does that change the way you scout? I know you guys do a lot of South scouting, try to move these guys through the ranks, but you certainly want to win each game. So when you don't have a bunch of the teams that you've seen year in, year out, and some of those returning players that it's got to be a little bit more legwork on your end too, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then now with all the information that we have with our analytics department, I mean, they do a great job of getting information and finding out that info. And that's all available to us, and that's the one thing that this game is heading in that direction of the information. There is so much information that's available for the coaching staff to be able to relay to the players. It's incredible. I mean, it's a lot of numbers. There's a lot of good stuff that'll definitely help us out. So there's never I would say there's probably gonna be never a time where we don't have information on somebody. You know, whether it's a year old, there's gonna be something that'll help us give a kind of an inkling of an idea, and as well as using our eyes at the same time. So there's always, you know, the power of the internet of knowing that information is out there and there's information on all players out there.
Yeah, for those that don't have a schedule right in front of them, just to give you guys an idea, Asheville, Bowling Green, the Hot Rods, the Greensboro Grasshoppers, Hickory Crawdads, Rome Braves, Winston-Salem Dash, now part of High A East in the South Division. Eric, I know local matchups are always big for you guys. Asheville, you guys are still going to see them. Obviously, that's a big one. Columbia and Charleston in Low A. What are some of the benefits from an organizational side of seeing some new franchises each year, but then losing those rivalries that have developed in recent years against Charleston and Columbia? I'm sure that hurts a little bit. I know you guys have a lot of fun on the social media side, going back and forth with each other. And that's all good fun for baseball fans in South Carolina.
Well, now we just have new people to make fun of, I guess, on social media. No, but I mean, obviously the realignment was an adjustment. It's definitely odd I mean, we're excited, as Iggy said, to be in this new league, to have new opponents, but it's definitely odd to us moving forward, or will seem odd that we do not play the other 4 teams from the state of South Carolina. Columbia and Charleston and Augusta remained in Low A, and then Myrtle Beach even made the move from High A to Low A. So to have no opponents in South Carolina feels a little odd. Even if we were still playing those teams, they were all changing, other than Myrtle Beach, who we had never played before. They were all changing affiliates. So that rivalry from a state of South Carolina would still be there, but the rivalry we had over the years with Charleston being kind of the Yankees versus Red Sox in the state of South Carolina was going to go away no matter what, because they were shifting to a Rays affiliate, and Columbia has shifted to the Royals. So, I think at the end of the day, fans will still get to see a lot of great prospects, both on our team, but across the entire league. Some of the teams stayed with their major league affiliates, and some, have new affiliates that we'll get to see. I mean, Asheville had been a Colorado Rockies affiliate since the Rockies' inception, and now they're an Astros affiliate. So again, it'll be fun to see some new opponents. Bowling Green was in the South Atlantic League when they first made the move back in 2008, but have been in the Midwest League ever since. So it's kind of get to, first time playing them in 13 years, I guess, and stuff like that. So it's going to be new and different, but I think, fans will still get to see the same great talent that they've grown accustomed to over the years.
The show is called In Depth with Fox Carolina Sports. And while we are going away from the normal format of it, I do think it's important to, have some fans out there know a little bit more about you guys. And Iggy, we'll start with you. You're a shortstop by trade, drafted by the Rangers organization out of high school in '99. You opted to play college ball, worked out for you, drafted again in '03 by the Red Sox. A decade-long career in minor league baseball. Then you end up going to the coaching ranks, 2014, I believe, with the Lowell Spinners, hitting coach there in 15, manager in 16. That's a pretty quick rise as far as jumping up the coaching ranks. What did you learn there in your first couple years being in the dugout without a glove that you didn't know in a decade-long career playing?
You know what? It's a lot of organization, a lot of information. It's definitely you think from the player side. You come in with that player mentality, and I'm thinking, I'm fresh out of playing. It's still on my mind. I think you learn the first day. It is nothing like that. There's so much that it's a lot of responsibility. You're in charge. You're in charge of a team. You're in charge of young players that are leaving home for the first time. Whether they get drafted out of high school or college, I learned that it is a lot more than baseball. You're helping these players grow as men, grow as people, as well as trying to help them succeed in their career and pursue their dream. And that's one thing I never really thought of on being on this side of the baseball, and that was pretty cool to me. For me, it's something like, I enjoyed that because it kind of brings me back to when I was younger and when I first signed, and I was like, wow, I was just leaving college for the first time, and now I'm doing this as a career. It's an adjustment, and to be able to help these players in their baseball career, but be able to help them, grow in their life, and it's something that you realize it's a lot more than baseball. You connecting with these players, you're with them every day in and day out, and you just see how they grow as people, they grow as baseball players. So that's one thing that for me, I realized, like, wow, I didn't think it was going to be this kind of responsibility also, and it's cool to see that. I enjoy that.
So, Iggy, this is your 4th year now with the Greenville Drive, taking over this clubhouse. The 3rd season, of course, with the 2020 year getting canceled. I'm curious what your message is to these guys year in, year out. They're all top prospects, and you're trying to get them all to the next level of their careers. What are some of the things that you find yourself teaching year in, year out, regardless of the background, position, that kind of stuff?
To the expectations of being in a Boston Red Sox organization. We're in a tough division in the big leagues in the AL East. We have a target on our back. That's what we're successful having World Series championships. To prepare our players for that, to be able to perform and play in that environment. It's a whole other beast. It's tough to play in cities like New York, and Philly and all those places up in the Northeast. So it's tough. So we want to instill that winning tradition, that winning ball player to perform, to play for the Red Sox. And that's what we want to do. And the luxury that we have is to be able to play in the city of Greenville. The fact of it's the Fenway replica. You got the wall, you got the fans that come to the games. You get that Fenway environment. So it's almost like, this is kind of how it feels to be in Fenway. You get the fans that are passionate. So you're getting it right at an early start, kind of exposing to them pretty early, and they're going to have their ups and downs. It's almost like we want them to go through that so they can learn from it now, instead of, later on in their career when it kind of, the halted, it gets like a deer in the headlights look. It's tough, it's always easier said than done. So it's always, we want to keep instilling that conversation, like, hey, we got to prepare, and they're going to learn along the way. They're going to learn from their bumps in the road, and as well as the staff too. We learn from each other. So that's one of the main things that we want to always instill in these guys, that, we're preparing you guys to play in a tough environment, and that's what we want to do.
If you ever been to Fluor Field in a tight game, they're very smart baseball fans here in South Carolina. They get when they need to get loud, when they don't. And, Eric, your team certainly does a great job of helping egg them on up there. I'm curious what how you've seen Iggy grow in his role as skipper over the past few years. Let's hear some compliments about Iggy Suarez from you.
Yeah, I want to hear I want to hear some too.
No, yeah. I've clearly seen Iggy grow. He's been with us 4 years now. And each year, you notice some changes within the coaching staff, how they relate to the players, how they, build these guys up. Because again, at the end of the day, Iggy talked about it earlier that, these are young guys. I know we've moved up a level. Our team is still going to be relatively young because the Red Sox have historically drafted and signed younger players. I think historically, in the old South Atlantic League, the Drive roster was, always one of the youngest rosters. And I'm sure even moving up a level in the High A East League, it's still going to be, one of the younger teams. So it's how do you relate to the guys? How do you get them to perform? Because in addition to a lot of these guys being away from home for the first time, if they were drafted out of high school or even college, they're all of a sudden they're playing 7 days a week, which is an adjustment for anybody. So it's Iggy's done a great job with that. And I think the staff in general, we've had some great coaches with Bob Kipper as the pitching coach over the years and things like that. And I honestly, I think that's just a testament to the Red Sox. Is I've obviously been with the Drive for all 15 years now or 16 years now. I've seen every coach come through here, every player that's come through here, and every coach I mean, you kind of look at the players that have been in Greenville and have moved their way up, but if you look at the coaching staff that has come through here, every one of those coaches has advanced as well. Carlos Fabulous was the manager here for a couple of years, and he's now on the big league coaching staff as the third base coach. Billy McMillan's the AAA manager. So again, I mean, you kind of watch the managers and coaches progress as well, and I think that's a testament to the Red Sox, is they've always had great personnel leading their players.
It's a good segue into going into a little bit of in-depth with Fox Carolina Sports with Eric Jarinko, who has certainly aged a ton over the last 20 months. From Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia, he's a big Philly fan. Just ask him. He'll tell you all about it. A Clemson grad as well. You know, you just mentioned you've been with the Drive since its inaugural season in 2006. You got the GM job in 2013, which is a pretty quick rise up the ranks yourself. I'm curious which year, if there is one that you could pinpoint, where you found yourself growing the most, and whether that is or how it compares to the last 20 months of trying to navigate these unknown waters of 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I started here in Greenville basically fresh out of college. I worked one season in Frederick, Maryland with one of the Orioles affiliates up there, and came back to Greenville in November of 2005 as the media relations director. And to be honest, I mean, just starting out as a young kid, I played baseball through high school and had an opportunity to continue that at Clemson till I got hurt. And the player in me, kind of like, I guess what Iggy went through, is kind of like, when you put the glove down, how do you make that transition? So I really enjoyed the media relations side of things, because you were talking to the players, you were talking to the coaches every day, you were doing the stat side of things. And honestly, it was, each off season, I would ask other departments, okay, I have downtime. Where do you need help? Where can I assist? So I'd help other departments with projects they had going on. But in the back of my mind, I still had the plans of, okay, I'm going to be with the Drive for 3, 4, 5 years and move on. I'm going to move back to Philly and work in the media relations department with the Phillies or the Eagles, or I'm going to go back to Clemson and work in the SID department. And honestly, it's kind of a joke now, but it was the 2011 season that I realized I really don't want to do the media relations stuff anymore, because the gap in age from me to the players had grown significantly. Bryce Harper was actually in our league that year, and to be honest, when Hagerstown came here, he was an absolute nightmare to deal with. And I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'd rather learn the business side, do more of the business. I love Greenville. I love this community. I love what our owner does for us. I love this ballpark. So it was really that was really the year. And thank you, Bryce Harper, I guess, that I was like, man, I really want to make the transition to doing more of the business ops side, and kind of just took over more responsibilities each year. And then it was the 2013 season that our general manager, who had been here since the beginning as well, he and I basically started at the same time, he announced he was going to step down at the end of the 2013 season. And fortunate for me that our owner had enough faith in me I think I was 31 at the time, to know that I was still growing, but to take a chance on me that I would continue to grow in this role. So it's been awesome. I mean, I tell people, it's an unbelievable place that we get to call, our office. But the old saying, I think, holds true. If you love what you do, you don't feel like you're going into work every day. Obviously, the last 20 months has been really tough. When everything got shut down in March, I guess when they put a halt to spring training, I don't think anyone expected what was going to happen, what eventually happened to happen. We thought, okay, this is going to last 2 weeks. A couple of players have tested positive. No one really knows what this is. They'll ramp spring training back up in 2 weeks, and we'll be 2 weeks behind schedule. And then it was a month, and then it was a month and a half, and then it was 2 months. And, MLB was obviously focused on getting the major league season up and running. And at some point, I think it was more around June 1, even though we hadn't been officially told there wasn't going to be a season, the major league season hadn't been worked out yet. And it was kind of like, okay, this is inevitable. This is coming. we're not going to have a season. And we had to make some really tough decisions. I mean, we ended up furloughing half our staff, and, front office staffs across all minor league baseball teams are really young. I mean, I'm 39 now, and after our owner, I'm the oldest person on staff. So you can imagine how young our front office staff is. And when you tell folks, hey, we're going to have to furlough you, our expectation is to bring you back, prior to the college baseball games in 2021 that we have, a lot of those folks just think furloughed means laid off and they're out of work permanently, and they kind of shut down. So it was multiple meetings with our staff for them to understand what furlough meant versus this isn't us firing you, we're bringing you back at some point. And we put some plans in place. I'm happy to say of the 15 people we furloughed, 10 of those have come back in a full-time capacity already. The other 5 found other opportunities, and we filled those roles now. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I used to complain about weather affecting our games or what our ticket numbers looked like for a game. And I thought weather would be the hardest thing I'd ever have to worry about. And that pales in comparison to what we had to go through last year. I say that now, but the first time I have to go and tell Iggy that we've got a 30-minute rain delay coming this year, I'm probably going to regret that. But I mean, again, we always thought our biggest challenge was going to be weather. And now it was obviously having no season last year and then, making things work so we could have a season this year with mask policies and stadium capacity restrictions and just what interactions us as a staff were allowed to have with the players. Because obviously we need to all keep our distance because we need to make sure we have a season. So I need to limit my contact with Iggy. He needs to limit his contact with me. Our front office needs to, limit contact with the players and vice versa.
In all seriousness, I do think that you guys have done a fantastic job pivoting the way that you did. There is no handbook for what you guys had to deal with. And certainly professional sports on the lower, on the minor league level, took it on the chin in all parts of the country and really regardless of what sport. But all the things that I mentioned at the early part of the podcast, I really hate complimenting you, but you guys did a fantastic job. I know you won't take credit for it. You'll give it to the organization, but I know you had a large hand in that. Your career, as you mentioned, you started here about 15, 16 years ago. If you could put into perspective how much this franchise has grown and become inundated in this community, because I don't think I quite grasp it after I was here I got here in 2013, but I've seen it grow a ton. I'm curious how you've seen the drive not only explode onto the minor league baseball scene, but also become a huge part of the community here in the upstate.
Yeah, I mean, looking back now, it's just amazing to see the changes that have occurred within our organization, but within this community in 15 years. I mean, all the credit goes to our owner, Craig Brown. I mean, he said from day one that our mission was going to be, we're not going to be just a baseball team. We're going to be an organization that is part of the fabric of this community. And I feel like we've lived up to that for 15 years. We've partnered with like-minded organizations here in the upstate. We've made sure that whether it's nonprofits, companies that are headquartered here in the upstate or Greenville County school systems or any of the school systems, that they can look at Fluor Field and use it as an extension of their mission, of their brands. And really that's what's made us successful. When you look at, the things we do during drive games that aren't Friday, Saturday, Sundays, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, which kind of sell themselves. It's our advanced manufacturing and engineering nights. It's our health careers nights. It's, our Reading All-Stars program. It's doing things like that have made us successful, because if we just sat back and said we're a baseball team here operating, we'd get 1,500 fans per game, but we're getting 5,000 plus every night of the week. And it's because of those community organizations that we've partnered with. It's the things that we've done to create an experience at the drive games. That's really really made us successful. And for any of those nights to be successful, it can't just be us. There's got to be a champion on the other side of the table that believes in that event as well. And again, I don't think anyone could have predicted what, Greenville, what downtown Greenville, what the West End and how it's expanded past the ballpark would have happened. Because honestly, in 06, it was kind of, you had Falls Park and the Peace Center, and the ballpark came along, and there was this huge gap, and that is obviously filled in, and now flows into the West Village, which has really become an art district. It's been amazing to see the growth here, and I think that's what makes Greenville a destination now. 13, 14 years ago, I don't think you'd say Greenville was a tourist town, but it's really become that way because of all the accolades that it's received over the years. And I'd like to think we've played a small part in that.
All right, we were going to wrap up with Iggy, but he's having some technical difficulties. So we'll end it with you. You've been around the game of baseball for a long time, and we'll see if Iggy can join us here and maybe contribute. But I'm curious, what the thing, May 4th, what's the thing you're most looking forward to? And Iggy, if you got me, I'll have you answer this as well after Eric goes. But the season gets going on May 4th. The number one thing you guys are looking forward to once teams get back on the field at Fluor Field?
I mean, just opening our gates to fans for baseball games, I think, is what I'm most looking forward to, and welcoming the players back to Greenville, because we've gone 20 months without drive baseball. Yes, we've had college games, we've had high school games, we've had other events, but none of that compares to drive baseball, what was created here in 2006. Our season ticket holders, our fans, they've all become kind of an extension of our family. You see so many of them at every game, and we've gone 20 months without seeing them. I mean, it's felt really good to start to welcome back our game day staff and bring them back to get them trained up on the protocols. And I hate to say that. I mean, in 20 months, we've lost some of our game day staff. I'm sure we've lost some season ticket holders along the way. And by lost, I mean, they've passed away, which is really hard. Cause again, I think those folks have all become an extension of our family. I think you have to kind of go through a tough year like 2020 to understand what this means to us as a staff, what having the Red Sox affiliation means to us. And I think it's easy to take things for granted. And 2020 showed us, man, it's really hard not having baseball around, and to be able to welcome the players back, guys that will have been on the 2019 roster that'll be back with us because we've moved up in the organization, to welcome them back, to welcome Iggy and the rest of the coaching staff back, to welcome the new guys and say, it's still going to look a little different, but when things return to full normalcy, man, we can't wait for you guys to experience what downtown Greenville and the upstate has to offer. So personally, that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I know it's what our staff is looking forward to.
Iggy, over 2 decades in dugouts at various levels, what's the number one thing you're ready for on May 4th?
Being able to kind of bring that feeling of kind of a little bit of normalcy. We've been so long away from the field, just to be able to have a little bit of an impact to help forget of a bad time we just went through and that we're still going through, for the fans, for us as players, just to be able to, and I think it's going to be a little bit of an emotional day also, to know and to recognize the hard work the people at Greenville, the front office staff that they've done to help us get there, to help the fans experience that. And I know the players and the staff as a team and as a whole, we definitely will recognize it. We recognize that now. We talk about it here in the clubhouse as we get ready to prepare to go up north, that we understand and we know that they're working hard up there, and they're working day in and day out for us to be able to maneuver in a way that's going to feel a little bit normal, and it's going to be different. It's going to be different. But like I said, we pump up Greenville so much, and it's for a reason, because it's all true. You know, from the experiences that I've had for the 4 years that I've been there, you know, it's all great because I've heard great things about Greenville, and I'm experiencing now, and I just got nothing but love for Greenville, and just to know that to be able to get there and finally be there, it's gonna be emotional. It's gonna be great. Like I said, I agree with Eric. You realize how much stuff we do take.
Well, you know, and I think, you know, just from my perspective as a baseball fan, I'm certainly excited to have a little bit more normalcy, just to have baseball going on an almost nightly basis. I think it's medicine for sports fans you know, we're all dealing with a lot of stuff right now. So I think it'll be definitely good for a lot of folks to jam pack Fluor Field as the protocols start to lessen. And hopefully we're getting there sooner rather than later. Again, the drive season gets going on May 4th. Get your tickets right now for all May games. If you've never been out to a minor league stadium before, this one's about as high of a bar as it gets. The Drive do a great job putting an event together, and the baseball team's usually competitive. So hopefully that's the case in 2021 as well. Eric Jarinko, Iggy Suarez, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on In Depth with Fox Carolina Sports. We wish you the best of luck this season. And for those of you watching, we certainly appreciate you joining us as well. Another great episode coming for you next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, Aaron.